Taproot. Yes, yes, Taproot. Finally, the thing that everybody's been waiting for is Taproot. We finally got Taproot. Okay, but look at what else is going on in all the other crypto projects, right? Everybody's pumping out all of these new innovations that are changing the world and changing finance. But we have Taproot. So you can hold on to your money better. You cannot spend your money better. Well, it doesn't, how can you get hyped up about that? The only thing they have going for them is just number goes up, right?
Hello and welcome back to the Bitcoin Cash podcast. Following Bitcoin Cash on its rise to global reserve currency. I always get these in the wrong order. This is episode number 27, Andrei Jikh and Voluntary funding featuring Cheap Lightning. Today is Saturday, the 28th of August, 2021. I'm Jeremy, your host. Jet is producing the show, same as last week and same as next week too. We're going to do a little spoiler there. And Cheap Lightning is my guest on the show this week. How you doing?
Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow.
So Cheap Lightning is a cat and also a BCH advocate and early adopter and a merchant. And I mean, you do a lot of things in the scene, right? So give us a full rundown.
So I seem to say this a lot. Check out my read.cash because there's my full Bitcoin biography there if you really want to know. But people don't want to read stuff, so I'll briefly go through it. So I read about Bitcoin when it was really new, and I thought it's a scam. Internet money's not going to work. You're going to have some guy with a computer and he's just going to steal all the money. It's a scam. Forget about it. And I didn't think about it again until 2011 when I read an article about Bitcoin is the most disruptive technology we've ever seen, or something titled something like that. And so I was like, okay, I'll read about this and see what's going on there. That's when I really got into it. I read the white paper, and I'm not a computer scientist, but it clicked, right? It's like, aha, okay, so this Nakamoto dude figured it out. He figured out how to make a system that isn't scammable without a huge investment of money. And I was off to the races since then. So, of course, at first, I acquired some Bitcoin from Gavin's Faucet, and I tried it out, and I was like, oh, okay, I see how this works. This is really simple, really amazing. This is going to change everything, and I knew the potential right away. I started mining when it was still possible to do with GPUs, and everybody laughs, like, what? I still have my GPU from that time. I'm going to keep it forever because it's such a memorable keepsake. And I started accepting Bitcoin. It was the only that there's Namecoin as well, but I accepted Bitcoin in my store, and sure enough, people wanted to use it. They wanted to use it to buy stuff. I gave a small discount, 10% or something, but sales came in. And I didn't have to use PayPal. I didn't have to use bank transfers or anything. And I just, wow, this is the future right here. Peer-to-peer electronic cash doesn't get much better than this. And then, of course, I got doxxed, and several other scams and exchanges that Cryptsy and several other exchanges that went bust, and of course that was an unpleasant experience, but I stuck with it. After Gox, there was the Bitcoin price crash, and so I took a bit of a break. I stopped reading about what was going on in the scene, and stopped reading Bitcoin Talk, and took a step back, and I thought, okay, well, if Bitcoin survives this, then it's gonna survive, and I'll give it a little bit of time and let people recuperate, and then I'll come back. And I still accepted it in my store, and I still got some sales. People still interested in buying things with Bitcoin until I forget exactly when it was, but I got a customer who emailed me and he said, uh, what are you doing? The fee is higher than the price of the item. And I said, I'm sorry, there's probably some problem with my settings. Let me check and I'll get back to you. And no, it wasn't my website. It was Bitcoin was broken. The fee had gotten to be where the price was higher than the product the person wanted to buy. And I thought, well, this is weird. How could this have happened? When I was buying stuff with Bitcoin, it was, pennies. It was literally pennies. Um, or free. You could do free transactions. I remember you set the fee to 0 and it would still go through. And so that's when I started reading about the scaling debate and what was going on there. And um, yeah, I don't need to go through the history of the split. Everybody knows what happened there. But yeah, I was into Bitcoin Cash right away because that's what I signed up for. That's the vision of Bitcoin that really interested me. So and
Yeah.
also at that time, I was still just a merchant. I didn't think anything about being involved in the space. Like, what can I do? I'm not a programmer. I'm useless. I have no voice. I have no ability to influence anything. I'm just a merchant. I'm nothing. But I started off just on Reddit. People would post these crazy things, and I would just fight trolls. And then that just kept building and building. I should also say there was the first Bitcoin Cash conference here in Japan. It was in Tokyo. And I thought, well, I'm going to go check it out and see what's going on with these people. And it was really, really inspirational. And so I decided to start spending a bit more time getting involved in stuff. And it is permissionless. You can jump into the space. You don't need someone to tell you it's okay to build stuff. Just jump in, do it. You don't need permission to start a meetup. Just start a meetup. You don't need permission to onboard a new merchant. You don't need special skills to onboard a new merchant. You just go to one of your regular places and be like, hey, have you heard about Bitcoin Cash? Yeah, so UNO and I started the meetup in Osaka. And from there, I've just been getting more and more involved with different things. I produce the network discussions videos. I work with Satoshi's Angels now. I don't, maybe this is a scoop. So I'm officially a Satoshi's Angel now. So I don't look like an angel, but please forgive me. Apparently I am an angel. So there we go. And still a merchant. All of the goods in my shop, cheaplightning.com, are 50% off if you pay in BCH. We moderate a bunch of Telegram channels now. And my pet project, which is floundering, struggling, slowly gaining work, is build.cash, which I hope to be a directory of different projects, all the different projects on BCH. And that took a lot of time, but there we go. That's my story. Feel free to edit and chop that down later.
No, this is great, and definitely I have a couple things I really want to dig into. Usually we blast on with
Please.
the price and everything, but I love that on this show, even so far in like 7 episodes, I've actually had quite a few people like from the very, very early days. Like, I mean, I got into it in 2013, mid to late 2013, but I've had already a bunch of people on this show that were 2010, 2011. I don't think anybody, maybe one or two from 2012, so it surprised me, right? Because those people are pretty freaking rare, like on an exponential, that's
Sure.
incredibly rare. And so, yeah, just, of what you were saying, a couple of things that probably, stuck out to me that it might be interesting for the listeners to think about. So the first thing I thought was, you said you read the white paper, and that's the same thing I did as well, where I heard about it, and then a couple months later, it was in the back of my mind, and I sat down, and that was the first thing I did, was read the white paper. And I guess I was into computer science and stuff, so that kind of made a bit more sense to me in that way. But that's another thing that was very, very common. Like nowadays, a lot of people know about Bitcoin, or they've heard about it, they might have bought it, they might have sent it around or whatever, but that's not the first thing that they go and find and look and read as much anymore, which is maybe part of why we're in the predicament that we're in to some extent. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, the vast majority of people that got into Bitcoin were during one of the bubbles, right? So 2017, or the recent bubble, or probably mostly or in between. And if your goal is chasing price and moon Lamborghini, then number go up is the only thing you care about. The history and how it works, etc., is not important. Um, but for a lot of us older people, and people specifically who forked to Bitcoin Cash, we are in it for philosophical reasons, right? We have a real deep feeling of need for new money for the world. And I would absolutely love to get rich. I'm not going to deny that. I would be very, very happy to sit on the beach every day and just play guitar and read books. But that is not nearly as important as creating a better world for everyone. And if I don't get rich, but Bitcoin Cash takes over the world, and the next generation of people have freedom from war, then that's fine. I'm willing to make that sacrifice. Yeah, I think it's just philosophy. People who get into the space now, they even say, well, what Satoshi wanted doesn't matter, right? He started the project, but it's different now. And I agree, yeah, it's different now, but I still think what Satoshi intended is super important. And a lot of people don't feel that way. It's just huddle and number go up.
Yeah, and I think to me that's a big part of, obviously, on this show, I've talked about, and sort of the whole premise is that we're going to be the global reserve currency. So at some point that means flippening BTC, which is going to be like a monumentous sort of achievement. But that kind of I think that might be the turning point in the whole thing overall. But obviously it will be smaller than sort of starting to sweep up kind of fiat currencies. But the key point about that to me, and one of the reasons why I got a bit disillusioned with BCH, but then I came back, was because it won't die. It just won't, because it doesn't matter that if the price crashes on BTC, they're going to just be in all kinds of shit, because 80-90% or more of the community is just there without that foundation of understanding the history, understanding the philosophy, being motivated, all that stuff. And I even see it now on Reddit a lot, where I had some comments recently where somebody said something like, the BTC was so much better. And I said, okay, well, you do it your way and we'll do it ours. And we'll, let the best coin win. And they said, it already has. And so, of course, my response was, well, kick up your feet and relax then, because that's it. Like, they already think the price is higher, therefore we've won, and it's over. Like, Bitcoin is not even close to winning if you take it in the perspective of you've got to get 7 billion people bought into using it as money every single day. In fact, they're kind of going backwards in that regard, right? And another aspect to it all is that people think, well, if you're in that early, you must be rich. And some people got rich, but a lot less than people would sort of realize, for a whole bunch of reasons, like some of which you kind of touched on, including like people think now you can get scammed in crypto. Like now now it's a joke compared to getting scammed in the early days, So Cryptsy, that was another classic one, Mint Pal, like exchange after exchange just going
Yeah.
bust, like all kinds of dodgy deals and everything like that. I just, yeah, I I
Yeah,
completely understand. Yeah.
if I had held all of my BTC from the very beginning, I would absolutely be a millionaire now. There's no doubt about it. But if everybody had held, excuse me, all of their BTC from the very beginning, well, then it wouldn't be worth anything now, right? So part of me, thinks like, oh my God, that Wi-Fi adapter that was 2 BTC. Uh, yeah, if I hadn't bought that Wi-Fi adapter, then I would have an extra, $100,000 now, which is great. But uh, at the time, it was $15 or something. So you don't think about it, and if we hadn't made those purchases, it never would have caught on. It never would have gotten off the ground. So I don't feel bad about it. I feel bad about getting screwed on Mt. Gox and other exchanges and stuff. That's actual crime. But as far as like spending it, no, I'm totally happy I did that. I'm really, really happy.
Yeah, and people don't really understand that. I mean, I, have a lot of differences at this point with Andreas Antonopoulos, but he has some really good talks where
Sure.
he does talk about that, and he does explain to people, that, I mean, they sort of, he'd say, oh, look, if 99% of people didn't get rich, or maybe not 99%, but people didn't, and he's also was kind of in that situation because it's like, look, life happens. Like it was pretty scrappy. Like people are trying to hold it together. That kind of insane amount of price volatility, things come up, right? People have expenses that they need to pay for. You can't just stick all your money in crypto, especially at that time, and just
Oh no.
ride it out. Like, I mean, a few people did manage that, but I often feel like that's probably most of the early community sort of had that intention. Like
Sure.
I put in a bunch of cat and whatever, but there's just so, it was kind of more a matter of luck, I would say, rather than skill in some respects as to who came out of it, still holding a bunch of crypto, and who, it just for one reason or another, hacks, scams, other life events, needed the money, had some bad volatility on the wrong day, like tried to get into trading and then fucked it up, or like lent the money to somebody who never paid it back, or like
Sure.
there's a million ways that could have gone
Or all of
wrong.
the
But
above.
yeah, yeah, pick your. I've probably been involved in most of that list
Sure.
myself, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
just really interesting, and that will be kind of an insight, that people will hopefully be able to kind of understand if they weren't there at the time. Anyway, let's move on a bit with the show. So
Sure.
bring it forward to the present day. So today, the price, as we talk about this, is it's about $630 US, and one BTC buys 77 BCH. So I mean, just with all that said, I do feel like the sneaky advantage I got from being there early, and maybe you feel the same, is it's a bit of a second chance at Bitcoin, to be honest. Like buying BCHs at $600 just feels like an absolute steal. It's like going back in time to 6 years and getting a second bite at it. But do you watch the price much? Or are you obsessively following that, or you don't really care, or people handle it differently?
Obsessive. I have a widget on my phone that has the price, so I probably see it every day, but I don't I don't check. If I'm doing some kind of business, then if it involves some uh, different currency, then I have to sort of think about it. But no, I don't lose any sleep watching charts or anything. No, I'm not a trader either. I'm not a day trader anyway. Um, so yeah, I don't pay attention to the charts.
Yeah, I probably watch the price more than I should, to be honest. I don't know. It kind of goes in phases. Sometimes I'm watching it, several times a day, and sometimes I just kind of forget about it for a week or two. I don't know. You just roll
I
with
I
the
get
times.
I get notifications from the Bitcoin.com wallet. So if there's a huge swing one way or the other, I get a notification and I notice. But yeah, I don't spend time seeking it out or anything.
Yeah, it just kind of tends to roll off you really. And I think another aspect to that too is that if you start getting some of your money that you're earning actually in BCH, that does a lot to sort of calm things down, which I think people will discover, because if you have any, it doesn't even have to be that much, but any kind of semi-regular or any way of getting a BCH, because then if the price goes down, you're earning more BCH per dollar basically, and then if it goes up, it's the other way around, so it kind of balances out. It's like a natural dollar cost averaging strategy, and it just sort of fits in with good financial management, which is you just plan so that your income is greater than your expenses kind of thing. So then we've got the transactions. So I check in on that every week, and I even sort of have thought maybe I should take this out as a bit of a regular segment. And the reason was because when I started the podcast, because noise.cash was taking off and the transactions were going kind of ballistic. And since then, and since the transactions have been, what it's called, not conglomerated, but they've been, grouped up, basically. There's a better word for it, but I can't think of it right now. Since they've combined all of the outputs from that. So we're now at about 90,000 transactions per day, up from 80K last week. And interestingly, BTC is still well below its own max capacity. So they're not necessarily killing it either. But do you follow the transaction volumes or even any other stats? What tells you that BCH is healthy and is doing well?
Yeah, I think transactions are important. Everybody knew that noise transactions were not a good metric, and so when people were starting to hype that up, I was also like, relax, guys. This is like weather data. Like let's dial this back a little bit. But if you look at the overall trend, it's still higher than the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021. So the overall trend is still up, and BTC trend is continuing down. The only other thing that I follow, I guess, somewhat regularly is BTC dominance. I think that's a really good indicator of the coming flippening. I think Ethereum is going to flip BTC first, and once that happens, everyone will know that the king is mortal, the king can bleed, and there will be blood in the water, and the sharks will come. So once Ethereum flips BTC, I think it's going to be very steady downhill for BTC, unless they do some crazy innovations. But given Blockstream's desire for side chains, I don't think that's going to happen. So.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because again, like I had somebody on Reddit who was posting to me, and I said something like, look, BTC dominance is down and it's declining. And they said, no, look, it's up. It was 35% and now it's 44%. I'm like, listen, okay, maybe it was in the last 2 weeks, but you look at the graph and it's like, it's rocky, but it's going down for sure,
From 100. It was 100, right? So
that's what people they don't really grok, is even the fact that it's in discussion or anything is that already the change of mindset. And I agree with you, because it's literally never happened that there's been another number one crypto. As soon as that does happen, that just, I mean, I feel like a certain percentage of the market, like even a large percent, wouldn't be surprised. Like I wouldn't be, nobody on this call would be surprised. Anybody who's invested in any altcoin, probably for any reason, would not be surprised. But it might just be surprising, actually, well, to a few people in the BTC echo chamber, that, wait a second, I mean, we were like riding off this, okay, there's all these other altcoins, but they've got their own problems. So like now we're number two, like, Jesus, like I think that'll be a bit of a bucket of cold water, but even to the rest of the world as well too, because they never see any twists in the crypto narrative coming, and that'll be a shocker when it's not like Bitcoin hits all-time highs, it's suddenly like Bitcoin not the king anymore, and everybody will be like, wait a second, like what is happening here? That might have a combined effect where on one hand people think, I imagine we'll see somebody will take the angle of like, oh, but if Bitcoin can get taken out, well, then any coin can just be the top coin. Like somebody will have some sort of level one takes like that for sure.
Mm.
But there will also be people who will switch on it and think, wait a second, this is not just like, there's just stuff that happens that people think I'm out of the loop here. Like it does, everybody's different in terms of what point in their life or how many times they hear about crypto before they realize I just need to figure out what's going on. But I think that might be another one where it's like, I've heard about Bitcoin so many times and that was just crypto. And then suddenly it's like, yeah, something else is number one and Bitcoin's out. You'd be like, what the hell? I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people would look into it at that point.
Yeah, I think people are going to look at it like I saw a thread about this on Twitter recently. It's Bitcoin is kind of the blanket term for crypto. It's like, how many Bitcoins do you have? Oh, I have Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin. It's just like people say Coke when they mean cola. When BTC gets toppled, people are still going to probably say Bitcoin as a blanket term for all cryptos.
Yeah, and that's a huge benefit to BCH, right? That's one of the things, I was just working on a list of reasons that BCH is kind of special, and that's one of them is because it's got the Bitcoin branding, and that's a double-edged sword, particularly in the case of BCH. But the upside is that if everybody can just kind of get the vibe of like, maybe this is now Bitcoin, well then kind of all the better, right? So for me, the other metric that I follow every week on the show is the cent in USD, which I have no plans to take out because I think it is actually very informative. It's a bit of tea leaf kind of reading, so I enjoy that aspect because who really knows what's going on here. But this week, absolutely a crazy moves in the charts as BCH still hanging out, 6 to 10 billion a day, cruising along. BTC from just barely more than that, 15 billion or so, rocketed up overnight to 53 billion, spent 2 days there, and then just today has gone up again to an all-time high of $93 billion of BTC moved on chain, kind of a bit out of the blue. And when I saw this, I checked this every morning. When I woke up and saw this, the first thing I did was look, what's the news? Like, could it, bloody Amazon, buys 5 billion of Bitcoin or something like that, something that just was this shocking event that has just created this huge furor. But there was nothing. There's actually nothing going on today in Bitcoin. The price was a little bit volatile. In fact, it was down, but this metric just going through the roof. Do you have any guesses? What's going on here?
Yeah, iFinex invested $100 billion in Blockstream. So I assume that's BTC that's got to move, right? That's almost a perfect amount right there. So, but Tether's safe, guys. No problem, no conflict of interest there. So, yeah. So if you think about it, like iFinex controls Tether. Tether's backed by stuff, and the stuff that Tether is backed by is Blockstream ownership. So what a nice circle we have. So the price of Bitcoin stays up because the people that own the company that controls Bitcoin just make a nice big loop. So yeah, I think I have no evidence to back this up at all, but that's the biggest news I've heard recently. So
that's a good take, actually. I did think, or maybe there's some Tether shenanigans going on. That seems to be when there's these big spikes in on-chain activity. It does seem to somewhat, because the thing is, when I look at these numbers as well too, for BCH, I can believe that there's a couple billion worth of BCH being sent around, as well as how freaking ridiculous it is when you look at it. It's like there's 11, or whatever, 6 or 7 billion of BCH being sent around in a market cap of 11 billion. It's literally like 60% of all the value in BCH is flowing across it every day, which to me kind of says that it is actually getting used and that the market is just sleeping on this like nobody's business. Like there's just the amount of speculative money is so small. In any other coin, maybe it's like 95% speculation. In BCH, it's maybe like 5 or 10%, because it's just ridiculous how much value is flowing across it. But with BTC, people we looked at the BitPay stats last week, like the numbers are declining in terms of actual transactions. Like maybe a few people are sending it to and from an exchange, but it's just, it can't be people paying for coffee basically.
But you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to spend it. You're supposed to hold on to it forever. So
yeah, exactly. So I don't know, just very interesting, but we'll see. I'm going to be fascinated in this next week whether this sudden peak up to 93 billion, whether it just my prediction is it will suddenly drop back off over the next 2 or 3 days, but we'll see. It could go sideways, could keep going through to all-time highs. Who knows? So in more market speculation as well too, I just picked up on this at the last second as well, came up on Reddit. So the Grayscale Trust, who talked about before, they hold a whole bunch of cryptocurrency in the kind of big Wall Street type of thing. Somebody has opened up a 2 million shares short of BCHG. So that's not 2 million BCH. It's, I don't know how many it is, but it's a fraction of that. So it'll be like, maybe it's like 100,000, or maybe not even that. Maybe it's like 10,000. It would be quite a small point, but the point is that it's changed significantly from the previous week. So to give some context, like on the 15th of July, they had 232,000 shares short, and then on the 30th of July, 478,000. So it was actually increasing, but it then suddenly went up from nearly 500,000 to nearly 2.5 million in 2 weeks, which is just, the graph is just a straight line up. And we're going to get the next update of this in a couple of days. So again, we'll follow this up next week and see what exactly happened. But this huge shorting was happening between the prices of 553 and 654. And depending on the time of day, the Bitcoin Cash price is actually above that. So somebody is taking out these millions of short shares on BCHG, which is already very illiquid, and they are potentially at a loss, paying interest on their shares that they've got to close out at some point. And it's like the GME or AMC starting up again here, potentially. I don't know. Have you got any theories about this one?
this is news to me. So with the news of Grayscale stocks, or what am I supposed to say here? Grayscale, not Grayscale. For the last year or so, they've been accumulating, right? More and more BCH. So why suddenly they're short? I have no idea. Are they gonna lower their overall position, and somebody knows about that beforehand? I have no idea.
I don't know. Like I mean, all this Grayscale stuff, it's all very reading the tea leaves, because I think I'm not really an expert in it anyway, but even when a decent amount about how shares work and how funds work and all that sort of stuff, it's still pretty hard to get a good sense of who is buying these shares. And people post up these stats of, if you buy it here and sell it here, after it unlocks 1 year later, then you're at a profit. I was like, this is just so confusing and so hard to follow who exactly, and who is it retail people, or is it Barry Silbert with his mates buying up millions, or is it's kind of regulated, but it's sort of, who knows, like, just very confusing. So I guess, again, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But I don't really think that Barry Silbert or the fund itself was going short. It more seemed like somebody else had bought up a whole bunch of it and was wanted to go short. So I God knows. So anyway,
I'm a
remains
dumb
to be seen.
So,
Potential short squeeze in BCH, maybe somehow. All right. So next thing, news we can actually make some heads or tails of. Brian Armstrong posting on Twitter, we recently received board approval to purchase over $500 million of crypto on our balance sheet to add to our existing holdings, and we'll be investing 10% of all profit going forward in crypto. I expect this percentage to keep growing over time as the crypto economy matures. So I saw this and I thought, it's happening. This is some like crypto is flippening fiat type vibes right here. Yeah, Jet with the Ron Paul hands,
It's
like
happening.
I mean, this is it, right? Because this is what people who don't get crypto or whatever, they don't kind of understand, is that they always look at the kind of the shallow points where crypto meets fiat, and they're always sort of criticizing that or saying, but the point is, once you've got the mentality and you're in the crypto land, then essentially you're not so much buying crypto as you start selling fiat. Is you've got your crypto and you like your crypto. So any extra value you accumulate, you either get in the crypto economy directly, in which case tough luck for fiat, or you get it sort of at the border, in which case you're not really buying crypto. You're selling fiat. And so that's how all those currencies, which are already inflating and losing value, it's just going to continue, because as the crypto economy, keeps powering up, all that value is basically just a selling pressure onto fiat. And so with Brian Armstrong here, he made a post where he was talking a bit about, look, we're this big crypto company, but we don't do really as much as we should for the ecosystem in terms of like paying their employees. Like maybe, I'm sure some of them get paid in crypto, but maybe he wants to put more emphasis on that. And this kind of thing, they're going to be a hugely profitable company. They already are. And if they are just going to start, adding that selling pressure onto fiat just constantly, like it's the crypto economy is reinforcing itself, really, is people joining the crypto economy and buying on Coinbase is already good for crypto. Then on top of that, that's making money for Coinbase, who are then selling fiat to buy more crypto. And then they're using that to spread, to build more products and services, or to, collaborate with other people in the crypto space. It's just even better. So yeah, I don't know. Did you see this? What do you think of this?
Yeah, I think it's good that they're putting their money where their mouth is, right? If you're a crypto company but you don't hold crypto, it's like, well, so you're just getting more fiat. Like, what are you guys doing? I understand if you have a board of directors and they're interested in profit, right? But I think this is more of a signal that businesses, it's not surprising Coinbase is one of the first doing it, because obviously they understand crypto as a business versus, a McDonald's or whatever. But I think people are starting to figure out that this last year, with the 70% of all US dollars being printed, and that's just one country, it's the whole globe, right? Everybody is the machine goes burr, right? It's everybody is aware that all of this money has been shooting out, and it's not an instant hyperinflation, but there's a real danger that some countries aren't going to make it. Their economy is not going to make it the next couple of years. And I think just from a hedging point of view, 10% of all their profit is not a huge amount. It's 10% of profit, right? It's not 10% of income, 10% of profit. The writing's on the wall, and shrinking is real. Like, I was saying this to someone the other day. If you go to the supermarket here in Japan, they don't really sell 500 milliliter bottles of soda anymore. There are 350 or 430 milliliters. Why is that? Because they wanted to keep the price the same, but they couldn't afford to sell the same product for the same price, so they shrink it. If Coca-Cola isn't selling the same size product anymore, that's a pretty good indicator that hey, money's a little dangerous right now. I'm not at all surprised that Coinbase is hedging their bets, especially with something that they understand so well. So good for them.
Yeah, so it's just a big race as to, it's just a game of musical chairs as to who ends up holding, the fiat at the point that they become, shoveling wheelbarrows into the fireplace is worth more, than the paper they're sort of printed on. So, I mean, it's an incredible time in human history, and absolutely, you know, obviously Coinbase kind of leading the charge here, but I feel, you know, it's just going to be more and more companies that start doing something like this. Obviously, we've seen, you know, Tesla put Bitcoin on their balance sheet, other companies start putting Bitcoin on, and then that they'll start doing the same thing. That'll be the next thing, and there'll just be huge, you know, corporations just churning out that kind of fiat sell pressure. It's going to be very crazy to see. All right, next up, this was probably my favorite news of this week. This was an amazing event. So I put it in the title. It's this guy, Andrei, I think his name's Andrei Jikh, who is a finance YouTuber. And he has a pretty cool little gimmick, actually, which is he was really into magic and performing tricks and stuff. So he kind of puts references to that into his videos, and it sort of makes sense as well too, because YouTube's a very visual medium, so he can have some kind of like pulling a rabbit out of a hat type stuff, and it kind of plays really nicely. And I had actually seen some of his videos a couple of years back where he was making videos about stocks and all that, but then I'd sort of lost track of where he was at. I kind of got a bit sick of his, you know, his videos all being in the same style. But I checked back, you know, when I saw this news, which is that he made a video called "I Just Found the Next Bitcoin," and the thumbnail is him looking shocked, like every YouTuber every single day of their lives, and the 2.0 with the O being the BTC logo. So this guy has 1.67 million subscribers, so he's a heavy hitter. And this video, it's been up for about 1 week, got more than 420,000 views and 28,000 thumbs up, with only 1.2 thousand thumbs down. And basically what he does is he gives a breakdown of BTC versus BCH, who he describes very accurately as they're like twins that absolutely hate each other. And he does some little visual editing where he's playing both characters of BTC and BCH. And you know, there was so many things about this that made me feel like this is massive for BCH. So, I mean, just a few of them is, number one, this guy he's into crypto. Like a lot of his recent videos have been into crypto, but he's also not like a crypto person. He was not telling us stories about how he was there back in, 2011, or he's not like, followed by everybody who is, in that sort of crowd on Twitter. And he's not, he's just completely come out of nowhere and got into it, right? And he's talking to an audience that they're not necessarily, all plugged into the crypto ecosystem either. So he's talking to a completely different segment of the market. Number two is that he already has a big platform. So the fact that he gave a very fair and balanced BTC versus BCH means, literally hundreds of thousands of people hearing this story very fairly without having a lot of preconceptions or ideas, and just thinking, okay, maybe it is a bit of a balance, or what, what is what. Number three was that his take was very well researched. Like, it's almost unbelievable that he would have got it all so correct, basically, given that he didn't have any links into the scene, or, as I think he probably would not. I don't know if he consulted with anybody or he asked anybody, but I sort of feel like, these people who are big YouTubers, they're not just good at clickbait and whatever. Like they're all very smart with it people. And obviously he sat down and did his research in detail, and just even the characterization that he had of the argument between BCH and BTC and the things that they were saying, it sounded exactly like both sides of the argument that play out on Reddit over and over. And I'm sure he's probably read 15 or 20 or 100 of those threads himself to kind of see what's going on here. And I mean, number five is, whatever number we're up to, like, how did he even get onto this story? Like, how was he looking at crypto and then he was just like, Bitcoin Cash, like, what's going on here? And then he just found himself down this whole rabbit hole, and then he thought, mate, this is a great video. Like, just for all of those reasons, I was just blown away Have you seen this video? What did you think?
Yeah, I did watch it. Everyone was talking about it, and normally I don't. It's a clickbaity title. I found the next Bitcoin. Like, yeah, I've heard that before, but because so many people were recommending it, okay, I'll give this guy a watch. And yeah, I thought he was very fair and very balanced. I disagreed with a couple of his points. I don't remember, but they were very minor now. Something about security or something, centralization. I don't remember exactly, but generally, yeah, I share the same feelings that you just expressed, which is shock that someone would discover Bitcoin Cash and then not fall for the maxi line at all. He actually presented it really, really well. And yeah, but now that I think about it, if you're looking at it from the outside and you don't pay attention to the rhetoric and you just look at the actual facts, well, then it's obvious what's better, right? The Bitcoin you can use, that it depends on what you think money is supposed to be, right? Uh, if you think money is supposed to be the thing that you use, then yeah, you want the one you can use. If you think money is supposed to be this thing you never touch for any reason whatsoever, okay, well then I guess a very small percentage of people are going to have it. So yeah, he nails it, just totally nails it.
Yeah, and I thought, as well, it's just very interesting that the BCH community, I mean, they have a number of just like little secret, ace in the holes versus the BTC community, and one of them is the the white paper, fundamentally, which is that anybody like kind of tying back to what I was saying at the start, where you and I got into it, and the first thing we did was sat down and read the white paper. And now there's millions of people getting into it that don't read the white paper, but someone like him, or you imagine people like Elon Musk and things like that, they will do that. They will think, look, let's get to the bottom of this. Like, let's start with the original writings of Satoshi, and let's look, let's dig a bit more into the technical documentation, or look beneath the surface a little bit. And it doesn't take everyone in the world reading the Bitcoin white paper so much as one Andrei Jikh reading it and figuring out, look, even just the title, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Yeah, right. I got it right there. And that's what he put that in big, big, text at the start. And I mean, he obviously is still not entirely sure about it, because he did say that he has about 8 BTC and he has about 21 BCH, right? So that's a pretty smart allocation as well too, I thought, because from if I was him, that seems like a pretty good breakdown, where he's got most of it in BTC, because that seems to be winning right now. And I guess he might not be sure whether Lightning was really all it was cracked up to be and was going to take over the world. But the sort of having 21 BCH, which in fiat terms is a small amount relative to his BTC sizing and relative to his overall kind of crypto and portfolio. I mean, he's a pretty rich guy with 1 million subscribers and loads of finance investments and everything. So it just seemed to me like he had it pretty well nailed, that he can now just chill for a year or two and see how it plays out and observe it on the sidelines. And then if he starts to get the sense the wind is blowing one way or another, well, he can just pump out another hype video for whichever side he thinks is kind of killing it, right?
I agree.
So yeah, just anyway, that was absolutely amazing to me. And I think it just signaled that the BTC side have the truth is sort of starting to leak out. The BTC side the crypto has got too big, and they've lost control of the ability to keep everyone inside the little walled garden of BTC is the one true coin, because there's just too many. The truth is just impossible to stop, in terms of nobody's disputing the white paper. That's the other thing as well. The BTC side, they can't dispute that this is what Satoshi originally wrote. So anybody who looks at that, they fundamentally have to premise their thing on, that was what Satoshi thought in 2011 or in 2008, but we've got a better idea now. And nobody really believes that, because everyone is just pretty much like, no, that is obviously garbage. So anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing if we see more content creators pick up on this story, and I think they will. I think we'll start to spread around because it's too good not to. Right. So we
Well,
got on the next. Yeah, go on.
well, sorry, a big part of it is hype, right? So what is going on in BTC? Like, they got Taproot. Yes, yes, Taproot. Finally, the thing that everybody's been waiting for is Taproot. We finally got Taproot. Okay. But look at what else is going on in all the other crypto projects, right? Everybody's pumping out all of these new innovations that are changing the world and changing finance. But we have Taproot. So you can hold on to your money better. You cannot spend your money better. Well, it doesn't, it doesn't, how can you get hyped up about that? The only thing they have going for them is just number goes up, right? And the second that stops, or the second someone catches up, then what do you have? We're the original. Well, not really. You kind of gave up the whole original thing. So it's they're dead in the water unless they do some crazy innovation. BTC's dead in the water.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think that that's another interesting thing about it too, is that this is from the BTC side, to kind of maybe help the listeners. Like, this sounds like, this can't be right. Like, they must have some reason that they don't see this whole ship sinking. Is that their mentality is, I've talked about before, kind of that you can't like Dan Held has these, he's a classic for this, where he talks about you can't program in stability, kind of an idea that if every other crypto is doing this new innovation and whatever, then it's hard for people to find trust in that, right? Whereas if the Bitcoin is stable, they've basically, what they say, ossified, they've basically locked the protocol. This is it, and it's not changing. And then therefore it's something you can rely on, like if gold was putting in some new atoms, every couple of months, you might be thinking, well, what the hell's going on here, right? But gold has been the same since time immemorial, and that's sort of the whole how it acquired value and how it's got a lot going for it. But I mean, so they see all this happening, and the more innovation and the more stuff that is coming out of every other cryptocurrency, that doesn't get them more panicked that, wait a second, we're falling behind. Actually, it does the opposite. It makes them more certain that we are the only ones just playing it straight, and therefore that's our distinguishing factor. And the more crazy the other coins, the more we can compete on not doing it and on not doing that, basically. So they're actually leaning into that, and to me, I think there's some merit to that, sort of, in the sense that, like BCH, for instance, I don't want that to be the most innovative coin on CoinMarketCap, but I want it to be in some of the sort of least innovative at the base protocol layers. But it still needs to have some innovation, because it's crypto, right? If people wanted money that sucked and stayed shit, they would stay in fiat.
Right.
This is part of the game. Welcome to crypto. Like, your money's going to get better, and if you don't like your money getting better, well, buy another one that's getting better in a way you do like. It's that easy.
Well, what is the nature of the universe? It's change.
Change is the only constant.
Yeah, so that's going to apply to money as well, right? It's really simple. If you calcify, ossify, stagnate, that's not good for money. We want money to be dynamic. We want I guess, like, when I first got into Bitcoin, the first thing that popped into my head was real estate. Like, it's going to be possible to have house deeds on the blockchain. And I thought, okay, this is going to change everything, right? Ownership is now going to be cryptographically provable. And I was so excited for all of the potential. I mean, that's just one example of all these different things that are going to happen in the future. Well, you have to have people that are willing to work on that to make that happen. It's not going to produce itself. And if the base of your cryptocurrency is, we're going to be a stone that's difficult to change and move, you're just going to fall. You're going to fall to the wayside of history, right? So yeah, anyway, we can poop on BTC all day, but I think I think we understand that the innovation aspect is incredibly important, and they're dumb for not joining in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll have a show at some point. I have still not even had a proper like BCH developer on the show. I do have some ideas like that would be good to do at some point, and there is a happy medium. You don't want to be
Sure.
switching things up too fast, but I think a zero rate of change is
Yeah.
clearly wrong.
Yeah, but
So
Taproot, we got Taproot.
yeah, okay. All right, let's not start up. We gotta get through the show here. I would love to tear that apart. But yeah, all right. So next up, we've got this community comment of the week, which is sort of on the same topic, which was about this video that they commented their thoughts on Andrei Jikh's take. They said, "This is Johnny was late on Reddit." And importantly, a Redditor for less than 2 weeks. We're going to come back to that.
Oh.
Said, very enjoyable video. Decent intro for people who are new to the space. SegWit was a catastrophe, but the real catastrophe of BTC was the soft fork only policy and then the SegWit by soft fork policy. 4 years later, SegWit adoption still isn't 80%. You can't have worse management. The soft fork only policy took decisions away from miners and made Bitcoin into a social engineering project. In only 4 years, Bitcoin Cash has already physically removed tax scammers as well as scheming Satoshis. The whole project really looks a lot more like Bitcoin with the multiple development teams, flip starters, and extensibility is going to be off the charts now with SmartBCH. These things aren't always easy for new users to see, but experienced users are starting to come around. Bitcoin was never about Wall Street dollar pumpers using any means possible to price manipulate. It has always been about peer-to-peer cash. And one of the things, I thought this was a good take, and what I found most interesting was this exact line. These things aren't always easy for new users to see, but experienced users are starting to come around. And this kind of take from a Reddit account for less than 2 weeks really, really struck me as like, this might be one of the, the 2013 era or 2014 era, type characters who has been poking around a bit and saying, look, it's starting to happen again in BCH.
Yeah.
And they're back in for another round, right? If this is somebody who only found out about Bitcoin 2 weeks ago and just signed up for Reddit, I wouldn't see them having this take at all,
Yeah, not that level of knowledge for 2 weeks. It could be, I think there's a lot of people who got really turned off by the block size debate and the calcification of Bitcoin, and Vitalik himself, right, split off because the things that he thought were going to be possible suddenly weren't anymore. And I personally know people who lost interest in crypto when Bitcoin stopped scaling, and they're like, this whole size debate thing, like the project's dead. Mike Hearn, right? The Bitcoin experiment is finished. There's a lot of people who and myself as well. Like I thought if 2x or Bitcoin Cash didn't survive, I thought, okay, well, the project's dead, and I was ready to mourn my loss. It was a good shot, guys. We tried, but that's not what happened. I stayed in the space because I have invested interest in doing so. But a lot of people are just like, I'll see how this goes. I'll come back later when it's calmed down a bit. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Johnny was late to BCH. So
yeah, I mean, I'm a classic example of that case too, right? Like I've talked about it on the show a bunch, which is after the fork and everything, and I just kind of was like, all right, like I was with it with BCH for a little while, but it was just devolving into a bit of a nightmare, and it was just kind of like, well, Bitcoin's not it, Bitcoin Cash isn't really it, and it's come back around so that Bitcoin Cash actually is it. But I think it will start to happen increasingly that so many, it's going to be this like unstoppable force, which another ace in the hole that BCH has is all these crypto OGs who remember how it was and who got disillusioned, or if they left into other coins or whatever. A lot of those people that, I mean, they've got a lot of influence in the world now, by people that they know, by money that they've made in crypto, by connections, and by and one by one, I think they're going to start switching on the light bulb that wait a second, we're getting a second shot at this, and they're going to start quietly, you know, putting some extra muscle into it. So I think, and that's a self-fulfilling prophecy too, because the more of them that do it, they all talk to each other, you know, roundabout ways, or at least watch each other's Twitter feeds and blog posts or whatever. And B is that as the price, you know, kicks off, whereas it starts to come about, then that draws more attention, and it's sort of self-fulfilling prophecy like that. All right, so we've actually talked quite a lot about the past of crypto so far, but this is this next slide is the future, really, of crypto. So this is the SmartBCH bridge has been opened by CoinFlex. So I've been talking on the show about SmartBCH slowly rolling out, and it's now live in production, and you can now get your coins across onto it only with this one method at the moment, which is CoinFlex, who are this really awesome exchange that is basically backing BCH. I guess they do a lot of coins, but they love BCH. They are now operating these bridge, so you can put BCH onto SmartBCH. We kind of need a better name for them. So I think is it going to be like SBCH, or I don't know, something like that. And then people can swap it back as well too. And this is obviously centralized to start with. But then the sort of roadmap is that then they're going to work on opening it up to use without a CoinFlex account. And then further on, the team's going to release this thing called the SHA-Gate, where then CoinFlex and or anyone else can sort of in a decentralized manager go back and forward between the chains. So there's still some details remaining to be seen about that. But even just on the last episode, I was talking about, look, people just settle down if SmartBCH isn't happening kind of as fast as you want. But it already is kind of, you know, kicking off pretty fast. And you did a big interview as well that I watched this week with Mark Lamb, the CEO from CoinFlex, kind of going into the details of all this. So yeah, what's your take on this, for especially for my listeners who might not have seen that whole thing, but I will link it in the description.
Yeah, Mark Lamb is amazing, and what the CoinFlex people are doing is also fantastic. So yeah, please check out the interview. It's really informative if you want to get the details that I can't repeat because I'm not smart enough. But yeah, it's there's a flurry of activity now, and there's a lot of hype that I haven't seen for a long time, and there's not much that's really, I guess, usable. Excuse me. At the moment, you know, there's anybody can make tokens, and there's a decentralized exchange. I think it's called Bendex, where you can start to buy SCP-20 tokens and stake them, and some other interesting things. But you know, the potential that SmartBCH adds is, I think, really difficult for people to understand just how many doors this opens up. And it's a side chain. Whatever happens on SmartBCH doesn't affect the main chain. You won't see rollbacks or anything like that because it's not part of the main chain. It's just really, really fantastic.
Yeah, it's almost a bit of a miracle, you know, to me, that this is even like possible. And this is just yet another ace in the hole that BCH has, which is, this one is two. On one hand, it's a specific ace because it's like, wow, this is crazy. We've got the whole of Ethereum running as a side chain on BCH. Like, BTC so happy they made Taproot. Like, come on, guys, that's a joke. We're busy integrating, you know, your number one competitor is going to be our side chain. Like, absolutely ruined. But the second part of it is that on a more general level, I don't know how it is, but the BCH devs, they just, we got all the good devs, I'm convinced of it, in the split, because they just come up with all this stuff that I'm like, that sounds fucking awesome, with all of them, basically. In every split, they're just the best devs that got it the most, because every time they come up with stuff that I'm like, that sounds like awesome. Like that's what we need. So we've had, you know, Cash Fusion, like every coin needs anonymity. We've got Cash Fusion. We've got every coin is needing like fast transactions. So we've got double spend proofs, and now these kind of zero confirmation, what are they called? Incentivized. There's I'll do another episode about those at some point too.
something,
ZCE,
right?
ZCEs. Yeah, I can't remember what the E is, but
Mm.
zero conf escrow. That's it. Zero confirmation escrow. Like that sounds sick, right? And then you know, every chain needs smart contracts these days, and somehow BCH, which, you know, was not gonna, you know, it's proof of work, it's not proof of stake, it's not going in the direction that all those other ones are. Still, somehow we can have like Ethereum just plugged in the EVM, no big deal, right? And just every time, just the BCH devs are just coming up with these solutions that every coin has, and they have one that A, sounds awesome, and B, only works just for BCH. So it's not like every other crappy ass coin can come along and like copy it, because the fundamentals of Bitcoin Cash in terms of like the big block scaling, the account-based model, the way Satoshi set everything up, the community being on board with these kind of ideas, you can't copy all that stuff. So it's just like even BTC can't copy most of this stuff because they just don't, they're not with it. They don't have the community backing it. They don't have devs in their community that are thinking about these ideas. They don't have the implementation. Their block size is too small. They're just shot on every front, you know?
Think for a moment, if they tried to make SmartBTC, just think like how much they would melt down if like, oh, we just got to change the protocol a little bit so that there's, you know, it would be chaos. It'd be pandemonium. It would just be absolute meltdown because they're completely inflexible. You know, SmartBCH is the ability to run all of Ethereum, and not only that, like just all of the work that these Ethereum devs have been doing for, I don't forget how long Ethereum's been around for, 5-6 years.
6 years, 2015,
6 years.
I think it launched.
Yeah. So a lot of the projects these people have developed are open source, and, you know, God bless open source, because now anybody can just take that code, switch it a little bit. It's proven it works. It has 5 years of history now, right? And deploy it on BCH with a new name, and just say thank you to the people who made the original. You know, so much is going to happen so quickly that you know, even just the number of tokens that have already been started and things, like I can't keep up. It's just already, it's going to get big. It's going to get big fast, and it's just going to explode. And of course that's a side chain, and there's PVM 3 coming probably next May as well, if they can, you know, sort that out. Jason Dreisner's a rock star. I keep saying that. This dude just keeps coming up with so many great ideas, and he's on BCH because BTC didn't want his ideas. Right? You have ideas for changing stuff. We don't want you. Go innovate somewhere else. We're so lucky to have him, and you know, Free Trader and all the people at BCHN and all the other implementations. It's like I think, you know, I'm in the weeds a bit. I think people on the outside maybe don't see it so well, but the potential that's just around the corner, just, it really excites me. And yeah, I have FOMO. I have FOMO too. Just got to get in, you know. Well,
yeah, I mean, just saying, yeah, these like SEP tokens, which is going to be like the well, it's not even going to be. It is like
it is
the
already,
ERC 20 tokens on Ethereum,
Yeah.
which is like half of the freaking top 10 market cap is these ERC 20 tokens, and it's now like, well, BCH has that, and at 80 times the scalability of Ethereum, like. That's absolutely fucking nuts. And we're you know, BCH, we looked at the price, we're number 14 on the coin market cap, and it's like already the better Bitcoin and now the better Ethereum as well. Like this is just
combined.
It's the most unbelievable. I'm looking forward to looking back on these videos in 2 or 3 years time, to be honest. Like,
Sure.
posted August of 2021.
Yeah.
Like, people are going to be watching these videos like, this was nuts. Like, whoever was watching these videos back then, because yeah, it's absolutely bonkers how much great stuff is just coming out of BCH on the
It's
regular,
still
right?
ground floor, right? It's still such a small percentage of humanity is in crypto at all. We're still very, very early days, and so when people say, the war is finished," it's like, what are you talking about? It's so not even close. How many people in your circle are interested in Bitcoin, right? It's like you and one other friend, right? That's about it. Outside of your crypto friends, right? Your normal life friends, right? It's very few people, and everyone is going to be, whether they know it or not, right? They're going to have some app on their phone that's on a blockchain, and it's going to be BCH. So let's go.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, crazy. And when you said that about how, small, it's true, like as a percentage of all of humanity, crypto is small. But even on top of that, even if we set that aside, because that is still pretty mind-blowing, even more maybe. But even if you say like as a percentage of crypto, like BCH is still small. So we're opening up this EVM, and just the brain drain, like the amount of human capital that is going to figure out that this is happening in BCH and just start like coming into the ecosystem is going to just be absolutely huge as the like, rocket ship starts like taking off, as everybody starts, all it needs is just one little spark. It's gonna, over the next 12 months or so, just something like Elon Musk tweets like hashtag Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin or something like that, and it'll just be like bam, like that.
Yeah.
That'll be it. It'll just take over. Maybe it won't be him. I don't know. It could be anything else, right? But all the pieces are just like lining up into place. And yeah, I don't want to predict when this will happen or how, because who knows? But it just seems, it's definitely moving in the right direction for that anyway. All right, that's enough hype about how it's going to be the greatest economy the world's ever seen. So this was the sort of non-news topic for this week, but I have linked it into a bit of a news segment just because it kind of tied together nicely. So somebody posted, let's see, what was the name? CD Sagane posted on
I read this.
RBTC this thread this week called "I'm pretty much done with BCH." I'm not going to read the whole thread. There was a whole long thing in there, right? But basically, the summary of the thread was that they saw that there was a lot of activity happening with BCH, but on read.cash and noise.cash, and they were kind of like, look, people are just begging for coins basically, or they're writing some crappy article, getting paid a little bit of money, cashing it out for fiat, and they're not getting it about Bitcoin Cash and about global money and all that sort of stuff. And just, okay, well, if this is all that we've got going, then I'm sick of it, right? So that was their take. And I was kind of like, look, I don't really like this. So I was not loving this thread actually at all. But what did happen was that a bunch of people all started piling in, and then it became the number one thread and actually turned into this mad discussion in the comments with all kinds of people all pitching in with very long, detailed responses. So it actually turned into a really great thread. And so what I want to discuss with you on this topic, and we're not going to, it's not really about picking up on specific instances really, but I've seen, and this is a good example of it, that in the community there's this kind of persistent theme or like undercurrent of, it's probably only a small minority of people, but they tend to be very loud, where it's kind of this throw your hands up in the air, it's all a disaster and it's all over and I'm out kind of vibe. And people often have it too when they have an idea for a project and they bring it to someone. It could be to Reddit or on a Telegram group or anywhere, like they have an idea and they say, Bitcoin Cash community, I've got this amazing idea, and then nobody cares, right? like they want to get funding, or they want to do a flip starter, or they want to do this or that, and people maybe give them a bit of feedback, or but basically immediately they don't get donated 500 BCH and hundreds of people going, wow, we love your project, which is just exists in your head, and that people basically need to understand, like and then they see, like, they think, well, the community's out to get me because they didn't immediately love my idea, right? But that's not how it is at all. So
yeah, I could probably talk about this for a very long time. I do a lot of moderation. I don't spend so much time on Reddit anymore. I'm not a mod on Reddit anyway, but on Telegram I spend a lot of time, and I do see these kinds of comments quite often. And yeah, there's a lot of spam on Noise. There's a lot of spam on Reddit. Sorry, on read.cash. That's the nature of the internet. There's a lot of noise all over the place. I mean, it's the name of the thing. It's noise, right? So, what did you expect? It's not called signal. It's called noise. Uh, so I went to noise.cash and I was expecting to get perfectly tailored information. Well, no, you made a mistake. That's your problem. But yeah, I mean, I understand Reddit and Read are not particularly strict about what people post, and so there's going to be a lot of noise there. You have to, filter information. If if this guy's big complaint is that there's too much noise, then what he should do is start a website or platform or subreddit or whatever that he highly curates information that he thinks is appealing, right? Be part of the solution, right? And yeah, I agree. I get tired of spam too, but that's not a BCH problem, right? There's a lot of people in the world who don't have any money and they find a way to get some pennies, and that's enough to keep their family alive. Like, I don't blame these people for trying to get money. Like, what are you doing? What do you do all day? Are you trying to get money? You're part of the problem, right? If you have an idea, it's up to you to sell it. You can't expect people to just jump on it unless it's like the most amazing idea in the world, and that's probably the problem. You think it's the most amazing idea in the world, but we all have the things that we're doing. We're all working on our own projects, right? So if you have this project that you think is going to be the thing, you have to develop it to the point where people are going to get interested, or they're going to get hyped about it. They're going to want to see it succeed. I can talk about, I have this great idea for a video game. It's like, yeah, okay, that's an idea for a game. Now, what goes into making that happen? Like, you need developers, you need all graphics, you need all of this stuff. And just putting an idea out there is really easy. It's like, I have an idea for a movie. Well, okay, well, how are you going to get the movie made? You can't just put it on the internet and expect someone to run off with it. And so something I said the other day was, if you're a teacher and the students don't understand what you're teaching, it's your responsibility as a teacher to make the students understand. And so if you have this project idea, then you need to put it out there in a way that's easily understandable for people. You need to, build a prototype website. You need to write your own white paper about what you want to get done. You can't just say, hey guys, build this thing. Well, who's going to build it? I'm busy. You're busy. We're all busy. If you're too busy to work on your idea, well, you can't expect other people to work on it as well. My flip starter failed. I was really hoping that the community would see my idea and be like, yeah, this is great. We want it. Have some money so you can work on it. But that didn't happen, and that's my fault. I didn't explain my idea well enough. And I'm not bitter at all about it. It just means that my idea is going to be developed slower than I'd like it to be, because I have only so much time in a day. And unfortunately, I'm not rich. I can't devote all of my time to BCH projects. And so, going back to what is the purpose of read.cash and what is the purpose of noise.cash, they're distribution systems. Like, the whole idea is distributing BCH. Yeah, you get some really interesting articles, and you know, not noise necessarily read. You know, people post really in-depth, really well-written uh, essays about all different kinds of topics, not just BCH stuff. And I think it's great. People gotta buy food though, so don't be surprised when they cash out and they gotta buy food. You know, especially noise is especially popular in the Philippines, I believe. um, yeah, a lot of these people don't have so much money. And if they can make $1, well, now they have food for a day, right? So it's fine. I don't see a problem.
Yeah, I think I really just want to, try and get the message, across to the community in general that, yeah, this is what the whole point of BCH, even the whole point of the whole crypto movement, or even the whole point of life really is like, just get it done yourself. Like, you want something done right, do it yourself. And yeah, maybe if you start building something, then maybe some other people will start to pitch in, but you kind of need to lead by example. And you might say, oh,
Yeah.
but I don't have enough resources, or I don't have enough money, or like that's bullshit, right? You've got 24 hours a day, same as everyone else, right? Like, starting this podcast, what did I start with? I switched on my webcam, and
Webcam, yeah.
yeah, and I did it. The first episode's a piece of shit. Like, you can look it up. It's terrible, right? But it's just like, make it happen. Like, don't have
Yeah.
excuses. Have solutions. And yeah, maybe your first attempt will be kind of crap, but a first attempt will be better than nothing, and then you'll learn from that, and then you'll work on that, and whatever. And don't expect that suddenly, everyone's going to be all over it. Like, this is the greatest thing ever. You should take feedback, right? So if there's no response at all, then probably, something's wrong with your idea. You need to brand it differently, package it differently, explain it differently, try it in another medium. There's all kinds of things you can do, right? But whatever does work, whatever kind of little grains of that, well, build on that, and when it's all voluntary, right? That's the whole point of this whole system. Is ever since Satoshi wrote the white paper and wrote the first client, Satoshi didn't go out there and say, hey, can you give me funding to like do? No, just got it done somehow, amazingly, and then put it out there, right? And that's sort of the attitude that everybody needs to have, is that, and the crypto community is not necessarily full of money, even though it seems sort of like that on the surface, because that's what you see is people posting on Twitter, I'm getting rich, or whatever, right? Or the price going through the roof. But like we talked about at the start, shit happens, people have all kinds of expenses and things that they've got, they don't, and everybody's always making noise about how much money they've got. Nobody ever makes noise about how broke they are, right? So you just really got to
No, they
moderate
do. It's
your
just on noise.
noise cash. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. But it's just like the Instagram phenomenon of the world we live in.
Yeah.
Everybody's always on holiday 24/7. No, actually,
Sure.
most people are not on holiday. Like, they just went on holiday once, took 20 pictures and spread them out, once every 2
Yeah.
weeks, right? And it's that same thing. And okay, there are exceptions, like SmartBCH, for instance. They said, listen, guys, we're going to kick off this killer project, and they got 1,000 BCH of funding, right? But you are not SmartBCH. Why? Well,
Right.
because SmartBCH was done by Jihan Wu, who is, the most OG of crypto OGs, that has, got a rap sheet a mile long, like, that probably, if you don't know anything about it, like, that's the point. You're already out of the loop. Like, he's just been crushing it for years and years and years, and you've never even heard of him, right? Like, that he has a proven track record of delivering, and it was actually a sick idea, and he did have proof that he could get it over the line, and all those things. And yeah, okay, then those projects can get funding. But whatever your idea is, if you're not Jihan Wu, probably people are not going to be as interested. So you've got to just make it happen however you can, in whatever way you can, and ultimately do it for the passion, right? That's not to say that you can't have a commercial element. This is cryptocurrency, and that is the point. It's money. If it can make you money, all the better. That will make it sustainable. But if you're I don't know, there's other industries you can be in if you're passionate about, or find a way to combine whatever you are passionate about with cryptocurrency in a certain way that you'll have a certain edge or advantage. But just because it's about money, yeah, don't expect that means you can just show up and say, please give me money, and suddenly get a lot of it, because it doesn't work that way. But what it does work like is that nobody will interfere with you. If you
Right.
want to do your whatever, like you're saying, it's permissionless, just sit down and crack on. Nobody's going to get in your way. The
Right.
road is wide open. But you've got to start, running along it, basically.
I'd also just like to say that you can help other people too. Like even if you don't have a brilliant idea, but you want to contribute in some small way, like we all need a lot of help. A lot of us are doing this by ourselves, right? So if you can make some graphics, edit some stock photos to be BCH oriented. If you can do video editing things. I think it was in that same Reddit thread. Someone was complaining that there's fewer merchants in their town that accept BCH now than accepted BTC in 2015. Well, go talk to a merchant, right? It's not difficult. You don't need to be a marketing genius. You just go to some place that they know you. You go there often and be like, "Hey, have you guys heard of Bitcoin?" Like, "Yeah." "Okay, well, would you ever consider accepting Bitcoin?" Like, "Yeah, maybe." Walk them through it. It's not that difficult. If there's a lack of BCH support in your community, be that person. Be that person that gets support. It's what I don't know what the expectation is. Like we have some marketing team that's going to swoop in and it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. We're decentralized, right? We're all doing our own thing, and we kind of team up on stuff, but you can't expect someone to come in and solve these problems. You got to solve some of them yourself. I'm sorry. You have to take responsibility a little bit. Uh, I would love to come to your town and onboard some merchants, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And and I know, I mean, I'm not too, like cut up. Like when you see this sort of thing happening, well, what do? You just ignore it. You just let it slide by, because
Yeah.
eventually that person will figure it out, or they won't, right? It doesn't need to be a big campaign to be going out and saying to people, look, you don't get it. You've got to do it yourself. So much as reality just kind of takes care of that for you. And I mean, it's funny, this is not a BCH example, but it's the classic thing of, because I'm a software engineer and I, made apps, is that as soon as you can make an app, bloody every person you ever heard of comes out of the woodwork and says, hey, I've got a great idea for an app. Let's do a collaboration. You make the app and I'll be the business person. And the business
Yeah.
person basically means I'll sit around and do nothing and get 50% of the profits while you do all the, grinding of the code, the hard work. And I
Yeah.
mean, usually that, like, the answer in that scenario is just learn to code an app yourself. Like, if it's so great, well, then put in the time to get it done. But people just have to realize that ideas are worth, nothing to very little, and execution is worth a lot, because it produces results and it builds you credibility, and it's something that people can connect and engage with. So there, like you're saying, there is no Bitcoin cat. That's all. Yeah, like, it's decentralized. There is
Yeah.
no CEO that you go and talk to. There is no marketing team or anybody you need to talk to. There are projects in the scene, so you can go and talk to them if you want to be involved with them. But ultimately, whatever resources or connections or things that they're doing, it's just whatever they've built up for themselves. So yeah, just hopefully people can be more in that mindset. And if you don't like somebody else's project, don't be involved in it. It's that simple. Like,
Yes. Yes.
just you don't like read.cash, don't go on it. You
Don't
don't,
use it.
don't use it. Like, it's really that easy.
Use
And
Memo.
exactly. And the point is that or create a competitor. If you think you can do a better job and somebody's
Sure.
doing a crappy job, prove it. Because if you start doing a better job, they will notice and they will copy you, and then you're proven right, But
Yep.
that doesn't happen without without proving it in reality. If anybody had better ideas than any of what we're doing, we'd be trying it out. But needs, somebody can show the way, and that person can be you. Or maybe in trying it, you'll find out, well, there's a reason people aren't doing that way, but nobody's going to know unless you try it. So yeah, anyway,
To be fair, just to be fair, I think a lot of people who have good ideas are not particularly good at marketing them, because coming up with an idea by itself is fine. And even if you're an engineer, like, you build this thing and then nobody uses it, nobody sees it because you're not particularly good at marketing it. You have to find somebody who is good at marketing it. You have to find somebody who sees the potential of your project and work with them. And like, I made this app, it's the most amazing thing. Convince somebody who can see the potential in it and will help you carry it out. Not everybody is good at every aspect. If you're good at graphic design, you're probably not equally good at design or whatever. So yeah, don't be afraid to team up with other people if you have amazing ideas.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want to turn this into my huge soapbox about everything. Maybe I don't know what the
we'll
way
edit all this out.
No, we won't. It's all unedited, mate. It's all unedited. Real talk, only real talk. But yeah, it's like it's just, you've got to be in that active mentality. You can seek help. The community's got resources and everybody is really friendly. So reach out and get involved. But also just don't be surprised if you're asking for a lot of value, but you're not demonstrating a lot of value. Because just like in the real economy, BCH is no different. Like, people are just going to say, well, what have you got to show for it first before I'm taking valuable time out of my limited day to listen to you? Like, you better show something that I can at least get the idea of, or see that at the very least you are passionate enough to have done something hard or difficult, or
you can demonstrate
that there's kind of something there, and that really it's all just volunteer stuff, and people are not just making millions every day with their little niche crypto project, right? But people do their niche little projects, and the scene can all kick off together. That's the beautiful thing about it, is that ultimately you or I or anybody else doesn't need to agree with what anybody else is doing in Bitcoin Cash, because we're all in the same team. And by the magic of economics, if you make something good for BCH, or you spread it to more people, or you make a cool app, or whatever, that's generating network traffic, it's building value, people are trading, then indirectly that just flows into everybody else's, the value of everyone's BCH, and where everybody in the BCH community by definition is a holder of BCH. So you don't even need to like read.cash or noise.cash or whatever, because actually they're boosting your BCH even if you hate it. So just let them crack on with it. It's actually all to the sort of good. So yeah, any other thoughts on this before we just kind of wind down?
Well, I want everyone to succeed, and I hope everyone's projects succeed, but just you got to put some work in. You got to show me your project's amazing. I don't have a lot of money, but I do contribute to the odd flip starter. But if you want people to pile in with money, you got to show us that it's worth putting money in. So please
start small as well. You can always build up. Get a small amount of money, make a small thing, and then promise one slight step bigger, and you can always just compound that effect further up the hierarchy. All right, so then moving towards the end of the show here, we've got our last two classic segments. So meme of the week this week comes from @RealBillyBot, who I believe is actually one of the crypto Twitter sort of skeptics. So I love following a lot of what they come up with, because they do actually balance a lot of the more ridiculous crypto kind of elements. But this one is a great one. It's a picture of Max Kaiser and Michael Saylor, who are two very renowned big pumpers of BTC, notorious, infamous. I don't know what you'd call them, but
Famous,
they
just famous.
infamous, yeah, maybe.
Sure.
But they've got the white and the black suits
Mm.
going on, so they're looking kind of a bit like sort of evil twins or something somehow. I don't know, but it's the two of them just standing there in a room. Nothing special is going on, and it just has the label Boomer Coin with the Bitcoin orange and white. And this made me laugh. I got to say, because it is actually kind of clever, because not only is it true that Bitcoin is getting a bit outdated in the crypto markets, like we've sort of talked about, but these guys wouldn't actually be far off legitimate boomers. I mean, boomers is now just the word for just anybody older than the age
Out
of
of touch.
22 or whatever. But
Yeah.
there is an actual there is an actual
23.
definition of like
Yeah.
when you are a boomer, that there is a generation between certain. Like, I think now you've got to be a boomer. You've got to be like in your 60s probably, right? Or I don't know what the
The baby
exact
boomer generation.
dates are, but
Yeah, I don't know.
it's kind of like it's about that sort of age bracket, and those guys actually meet it. So
yeah,
it is a bit of a clever double sort of pun there, I think. So
Max
anyway,
Kaiser for sure. Michael Saylor might be a bit younger, just looks old, but
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Anyway,
funny.
yeah, the two of them, they're kind of out of touch with crypto. They're out of touch with even Bitcoin. They're just a bit out of touch, but they've got clout. So I don't know. We'll see how much longer the world keeps listening to them. But
why? I don't understand. Why would anybody listen to either of these people? I have no idea.
There's something for everyone, I don't think both of them have got a kernel of truth in what they're into.
But everybody has a kernel of truth in what they're
yeah, well, that's right. You got to give them that credit,
Okay. But I don't understand why either of these guys got to be huge in Bitcoin.
Max Kaiser, I used to be a big fan of Max Kaiser. I mean, now I'm pretty iffy on him, and I mean he is a bit nuts. He does on one hand play it up. That's deliberate, but on the other, he is also just a bit nuts, and he always has been. But he sort of, he was there in the early days. He was pretty OG. It's just kind of crazy how he spiraled off onto BTC, the one and only coin. He didn't stick with the whole peer-to-peer cash. That didn't get through to him somehow.
But he had tokens and stuff. He had Max Coin and whatever. So this is the story that happens over and over and over again. Samson Mao and all of these people are like, BTC, only BTC, but buy my ERC20 token. BTC is the only thing in the world. I'm selling a token that's on the Ethereum network. Over and over and over again, these guys talk about how BTC is the only thing that exists in crypto. And yet when it comes to producing their own shitcoin, right, they have to launch it on the ERC. They have to launch it on Ethereum because you can't do it on Bitcoin, right? You can't do it on BTC. So, I mean, I don't know. Michael Saylor, I don't know if he's ever tried to launch his own currency. I don't know. I only know his business has some interesting history. And it seems like getting into Bitcoin was just his only chance of kind of saving his company with Number go up, because their software business was having some issues. But as far as Max Kaiser, man, practice what you preach, right? If I said BCH is the only thing in the world, don't touch any other coins, I would totally be okay with people not listening to me anymore if they found out that I also owned a little Ethereum. Just hypocrisy. It just bothers me so much. If you say Bitcoin is the best and also there's some cool things happening elsewhere, then that's fine. That's totally fine. You think BTC is going to come out on top, but don't say it's the one and only, it's the best. And I'm a maximalist. His Twitter is maximalist, right? No, you're not. You're demonstrably not a maximalist. You have produced your own other chain coin, right? You are not a maximalist. So yeah, hypocrisy just bothers me so much. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll see. And maybe at some point, this is also going to be an interesting one too. I'm sure we'll do another topic about this at some stage, but it's going to be at what point do the BTC crowd start to bend the knee to BCH? This is thinking a bit far down the line, but it's just going to be the more somebody is invested in that whole narrative. Like, for instance, Vitalik, who is nothing like this at all, if BCH comes out and just starts crushing it, he'll just be like, love BCH, always has. And everyone will be like, yep, that's true.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes.
Nobody's going to be mad about it. If he suddenly is just like, fuck it, like SmartBCH is kicking off, let me code up something for that. Nobody will be mad. Everyone will be like, you've always been about it. It's all good. Well, probably Ethereum people would be mad.
That's what I mean.
But it wouldn't suffer any, harm from me. But then, with the BTC crowd, they're like, that's BTC and only BTC. But if BCH, starts coming back at some point, their sort of ego has to bend to the reality. If we see that, if we see that, but it has to.
There's already ripples. Right. There's already ripples. If you look at Peter McCormack, like his latest tweets are like, dipping his toe in the water of like, hey guys, maybe my cognitive dissonance is wearing off a bit. Maybe it's okay to like more than one thing. Maybe the world isn't binary. I think if people haven't watched it, I really recommend watching. I don't like Peter McCormack at all, but the interview he did with Eric Weinstein was just amazing, and I highly recommend people check that out because it seems like it actually made Peter McCormack think a bit, and that's great. That's just wonderful. And he doesn't talk about BCH or anything else. He's just like, Eric's point over and over again. So what are we doing, guys? What's the point of all this? And I think that's, something that you really need to ask BTC people. What is the point? What is the point of this project? What is the point? If the point is I get rich or my family gets rich, okay, you guys don't need to change much, right? You just need number go up. But if the point is making a new economy, well, BTC isn't going to do it, and it's not taking any steps to do it, and they have no interest in doing it. So what is the point of Bitcoin? And I mean Bitcoin in general, not BTC, not BCH. What is the point of the Bitcoin project? What are we doing here? Why are we here? Ask yourself that. If it's me and mine, then okay, it doesn't really matter as long as you keep getting rich. But if you want to do something a bit bigger, then you have to think about where you're going to invest your time. And I agree with Roger. Like, I want new money for the world. If it's Bitcoin Cash, and I think it is, then that's fantastic. If it turns out to be the next coin that comes out that has some real new amazing thing, I will absolutely jump to it. If it's going to achieve the goal of peer-to-peer electronic cash for the world, I'm on board with whatever that is. And I'm in it for that reason, not because of the ticker, not because of the logo, not because of the name Bitcoin. I'm in it for philosophical, for practical, for all of the above. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's that's good. I mean, I'll also link to this interview of Peter McCormack and Eric Weinstein. I also watched that, and I do also recommend it. But I will say it is a bit of a hard watch, to be honest. Like it's a bit like pulling teeth watching it, because Peter McCormack is sort of trying to sort of stumble, like, because he knows that Eric Weinstein is this really smart guy, and I haven't seen Eric either. Maybe I just haven't missed it, or maybe he hasn't said as much, but I haven't seen him talk too much about cryptocurrency. But he knows, even in this interview, you can see little shades that he knows quite a lot about what's going on. It's sort of in that same category that we were talking about before, of this Reddit poster, who might have just been watching it for quite a while and just, they're just getting involved as and when they choose to be. And, he sort of has been in Bitcoin seemingly, like, I think he even talks about it in like 2011 or 2012, he was sort of reading the white paper, and, he might have a cheeky little stash himself, and he, you know, yeah, so him and Jordan Peterson as well apparently have been talking about it more. Jordan Peterson, I can see more along the lines of like, he just kind of is jumping into it now because it's where the action is. But Eric Weinstein, I think he at least knows about it, or he's a maths professor like type guy. I think he would love it, at least from a theoretical point of view. And just, so he has been following it, and then Peter McCormack, who came into it later, but then somehow got all this clout in the BTC scene, is kind of saying, yeah, okay, well, it's all kicking off, in Bitcoin. And Eric, yeah, it's just like, what is the point of all this? He's sort of trying to get him to realize, like, this wasn't what it was about, from when I started looking into it, but also that the BTC crowd are they're not delivering on any of their promises, where it's like, we're going to take over the world, and, like, once we're all, it's like, you all are supposedly, and Eric also is jabbing the needle in a bit there, you're all supposedly really rich now because the price of your coin has gone up, 10x or whatever. And
what is
happening with that? Yeah, what's going on with that? Are we seeing like a cool new charity start, or are we seeing like some sick new business, or are we seeing BTC funds its own pirate island, or it launches rockets into outer space, or actually none of that? Like, the BTC community is not putting up really any numbers. Like, even Vitalik is like out donating money to India and doing this and that. The whole crypto scene as a whole is not like lacking for humanitarian causes and funding the economic foundations and donating to kids in Africa and like doing all this stuff. It is going on, but BTC, especially for how much they think of themselves as we're the top dogs, they're not really putting up any numbers on that front.
Nope. Yeah, the amount of money in BTC that they could be putting into science, or whatever, where is it? But that's the fundamental difference, right? These people are in it for themselves, right? They're in it to get rich themselves, their own clout, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's the point of your project, well, I'm not particularly interested in it. And I hope there's enough people in the world that share that view, that, hey, we're all on this rock together, and when I kick it, I'm not bringing any Bitcoins with me, so I should use it for something now, right? I should do something with it now. Wouldn't you feel nice, like, just before you die, like, I saved the lives of all of these cats on this island, or whatever. Please save the cats. There's a lot of cats that have no homes. Start a cat shelter, start a spay and neuter program, whatever your pet project is. Leave the world a better place than how you found it, right? You're not going to be rich enough that people are going to remember you for being rich. And maybe you don't care if people remember you or not. I don't know. But just please use your money for something. It's just something. Use it for something. Yeah. Hoarding is what was something I read on Twitter recently. It was like, if one monkey hoarded all of the bananas and didn't share it with any of the rest of the group, and they all died, scientists would study that monkey to see what was wrong with it. And I really feel like that's the same for people. It's like, oh, I'm hoarding all the Bitcoin. Okay, so you're a troll. You're a dragon. What's the point, right? What's the point? You don't necessarily have to spread it around, but you can invest in some company that's going to make some revolutionary change. Who am I to tell you how to spend your money? You spend it however you want. Hookers and blow, Lamborghini, have fun, enjoy your life. As long as you don't hurt anyone, that's fine. It's fine. Be happy.
All right. Well, I think that's a very roundabout, a few different angles of attack there, but it's like a buffet. People can take that message and sort of select out whatever morsel they were thinking making
Sure.
sense to them. You know, I just kind of want to get in the last word that I
Please.
mean, even hookers and blow BTC community not impressing me on that front either. I haven't been seeing any
That's
banger,
true.
Snapchat clips of it just going off at
Yeah.
even like BDC Miami or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked kind of cool. There was like one like dance rave type like thing going on, but
Yeah.
honestly, it looked pretty
Pretty
average. I
boring.
was like,
Yeah.
I've been in a lot of like clubs and shit. I'm expecting like something a bit better at a whole conference. Like, come on, couldn't have
It
had
looks
the
like
bloody.
Jet wants to jump in here with his expertise.
Yeah, let's hear
Let's
it,
see.
mate. This is the time, the sign off for the show. Let's hear it.
So I just remember, like when I first got into crypto, reading about dancers and strippers and all just different kinds of sex workers in Las Vegas that had tattooed BTC QR codes on themselves. And now I just think like do they get like even if they were to like try and accept business still, like how fucked are they? Like it just gave me a giggle I wanted to share.
Yeah,
Yeah, the dust
they are
limit,
just finished.
the strippers are priced out of using BTC, unless it's, a high roller Las Vegas club and people are throwing hundreds, okay, but people still get singles, right? The fee is going to be more than the $1, right? So yeah, sorry, your business is priced out of the BTC network. You got to get a, but you could still
Lightning
accept
Network
BCH.
tattoo. That's what
No,
they
no, no.
need.
If you have an old QR code, you could still accept BCH payments as long as you still have the private key. You just have to tell them to use a legacy. So for all of you strippers out there who have BTC or Bitcoin tattoos from pre 2017, you can still use your QR code tattoo to accept funding from your clientele. Just tell them to use a legacy address from their BCH wallet, and you'll still be okay.
Good. Well, I love it.
Pro
That will
tip.
then wrap up that wraps up the episode. That's perfect. So voluntarism, proactive entrepreneurship in the scene. Don't expect money from other people. Go out, hustle and make it happen. All the strippers listening to this, you know what I'm talking about. You're already killing it. So that's who we should be role modeling ourselves after. Perfect. Excellent. So yeah, that will pretty much do it for the show then. The donations, as you know, practicing what I preach here. Message to the community. We already had message to the community. We already had about 4 messages to the community. So we've had enough. There's only so many messages you can have in before it gets jumbled. So yeah. Anyway, slides and resources are at bitcoincashpodcast.com. Thank you to the donators. I love you all. Been absolutely amazing. And and also the sort of the customers, the ones who've been paying on prompt.cash. The last episode didn't actually do as well on that front. I think I set the price a little bit too high. I've been experimenting the free market, but also the price of BCH was up, so that was a bit cheeky. I made the price higher in BCH, but the price was also up, so it was actually quite a bit more. So that might have been over the limit of like what anybody would pay to listen to this shit. So that's kind of it for me. And Cheap Lightning, mate, give us the shout outs. Where can people find you? And any final acknowledgements or anything you want to give on the show?
I'm going to talk for another 30 minutes about philosophy here. So, get some popcorn.
Get into it.
Yeah, no. This is, just to reiterate, this is all permissionless. So I want to see you guys develop your thing. So get out there, pump it. Write a Reddit post, write a Readcash post, make a website, make a blog, whatever you got to do. Start getting your idea out there, getting some eyeballs on it. Join different groups, communities. There's meetups in your area. If there isn't one, start one. We have virtual meetups. I host the Asia time zone one, but there's multiple meetups all around the world. So check out Telegram. There's channels for every topic that you could possibly be interested in. Follow interesting people on Twitter. Maybe not me necessarily, but there's a lot of really, really good people out there who have wonderful ideas. Check them all out. There is a network discussion meeting coming up on the 1st. I forget what time it is, but I believe that's next Wednesday. So be sure to check that out if you're interested in more technical discussion. I'm cheap lightning everywhere on every platform. So if you want to say hi, feel free. I'm there. By all means, check out SmartBCH. It's exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what projects come out. Thanks for having me.
No, it's been a really good one. Jet, any final thoughts, or that'll do it for the show? We're all good. Thumbs up. All right, perfect. Thank you everybody, and until next time.
Meow meow.
Future dollars can buy nothing for ya.
You've heard of inflation, right?
Banks fucked you